My name is Camila Reyes. I've been married for 4 years. And until last Thursday, I thought I knew what loyalty looked like. What trust felt like. What forever might mean. I was wrong. It started with a message. No name. No text. Just a photo. One image. A wedding. Not mine. I remember the way my hands shook before I opened it. I was in the kitchen, holding a cup of tea. I never drank it. The dress wasn't mine. The woman wasn't me. But the man. The man smiling beside her. Holding her waist. Looking at her like she was his future. Was my husband. Santiago. The photo was dated 3 months ago. A beach in Punta Cana. Private ceremony. 10 guests. And a ring that looked almost identical to mine. Almost. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. Not at first. I just stared. At the way he tucked her hair behind her ear. At the way his hand rested on her lower back. Like muscle memory. Like something he'd done 1,000 times. I stared for so long that my tea turned cold. I wanted to believe it was a mistake. A Photoshop trick. A cruel joke. But I knew. Somewhere deep, I already knew. Because you don't fake that kind of smile. And you don't fake that kind of betrayal. I didn't call him. I didn't confront him. I didn't even move. I just broke. Silently. Because sometimes the loudest heartbreak is the one you don't make a sound for. That night I laid in bed beside him. He snored. He slept like a man with no guilt. And I stared at the ceiling. Holding the photo in my phone like it was a knife. Because it was. And I wasn't ready to use it. Yet. They say betrayal starts with a lie. But sometimes. It starts with silence. Santiago made my coffee the next morning. 2 sugars, no milk, just how I like it. He kissed my cheek. Told me I looked beautiful. Asked if I wanted to go to dinner that weekend. I nodded. And I wondered. Was he this good at pretending before? Or had I just never noticed? The house was quiet. Too quiet. Like the calm before something breaks. I watched him walk from room to room. I watched his reflection in mirrors. His hands. His smile. His wedding ring. It was still on his finger. The one I gave him. The one he wore. Even after giving another woman the same promise. That day, I didn't go to work. I told him I had a headache. He kissed my forehead. Told me to rest. Instead, I searched. Receipts. Folders. Flight confirmations. Phone records. I became an archaeologist of my own marriage. Digging through layers of trust. Unearthing bones I wasn't ready to see. He had a separate email address. It wasn't hidden. But it had never been shared. I typed in his old passwords. It opened. A whole life opened. Photos. Dinner reservations. A ring receipt. One message read. She suspects nothing. Can't wait for the honeymoon. I wasn't she. I was nothing. I sat there for hours. Not moving. Not thinking. Just burning. But fire makes smoke. And smoke gives you cover. And I wasn't ready to scream. I was ready to watch. That night, he came home with flowers. Lilies. He said. You always loved lilies. And I smiled. Because yes. I used to. Every wedding has a guest list. Even the ones meant to stay secret. And secrets. Don't travel alone. I zoomed into the photo. The beach was golden. The smiles were rehearsed. But in the corner, a hand holding a champagne glass. A face half-turned. A familiar jawline. It was Diego. Santiago's cousin. He had danced at our wedding too. Told me I was the best thing to ever happen to Santiago. Apparently, I was the first. I found him on Instagram. Private. But his profile photo showed the same beach. The same day. People don't think when they post. But I do. I created a fake profile. Not to catfish. To collect. Sent a follow request. Messaged him. Punta Cana looked amazing. You guys looked so happy, smiling face with heart eyes. Who was the photographer? No reply. But he accepted. And his photos opened a door that Santiago had locked. There were 10 guests. I counted them. I traced faces. 2 from his office. 1 from his college days. A woman I had met once at our engagement party. I stared at that one the longest. Her name was Isa. She hugged me once back then. Said, "You're lucky, Camila." Santiago's the kind of man who only loves once. Now I wondered. Had she meant it as a warning? I took screenshots. Labeled them. Filed them by name, date, connection. I was no longer just a wife. I was an archivist. Of betrayal. Of polished lies. I didn't cry. Tears felt useless now. What I felt was power. Not the loud kind. The dangerous kind. The quiet kind. He came home that night and asked me what I wanted for our anniversary. I said, "Surprise me." He smiled. And I did too. Because soon he would be the one surprised. Truth isn't just what you know. It's what you can prove. And I was done just knowing. The email address was printed at the bottom of the photo. A watermark from the resort. Villa del Mar, exclusive beach weddings. Punta Cana, Dominican Republic. I opened a new email. A fake name. A fake story. "Hi, I recently attended a wedding at your beautiful resort in March. I lost access to the shared photo gallery. Could you resend the link?" I added a photo. The one from the message. Just enough to look like family. Not enough to raise alarms. 2 hours later, I had it. A full online gallery. The password. Their initials. Santiago plus ISA. SI. There were 123 photos. Sunsets. Table settings. Champagne toasts. Cake cutting. Kisses. Vows. It wasn't just a wedding. It was a fairy tale. And I was never meant to read it. They stood under an arch of white orchids. He was crying. She was laughing. They kissed 3 times during the ceremony. Too much for just paperwork. One photo showed the guest book. Another showed the ring box. Another showed her hand. Wearing a ring with the same design as mine. Slightly larger. Slightly newer. I scrolled faster. And then I found it. Photo 117. A group shot. Him. Her. The guests. Smiling. Clapping. Holding glasses. And in the corner again. Diego. Looking straight into the lens. And behind him. The photographer's reflection in a glass panel. That was the final thread I needed. I emailed the resort again. Can you please confirm the photographer's contact info? We'd like to book them again for an event. Sister of the bride. They responded in 20 minutes. Carlos Mendez Photography. And I had him. That night, Santiago made dinner. Posta al limón. My favorite. He poured wine. We watched a movie. And he fell asleep on the couch. I kissed his forehead. And I whispered, "This is your last night as a husband." I didn't need a fight. I needed the truth delivered. Loudly. Visibly. Permanently. And nothing delivers like email. I spent the next morning building a dossier. Folder by folder. Photo by photo. Screenshots from Diego's Instagram. Reservation emails. Guest photos. The wedding album. The ring receipts. His messages to ISA. I renamed every file carefully. Timeline _proof 01. Secondary witness 02. Vow translation _03. It wasn't just a folder. It was a case. I wrote the email with gloves on. Not literal gloves. But the kind you wear when you're handling poison. Because what I was about to send was toxic. But clean. Undeniable. Subject line. To whom it may concern, your husband has another wife. Recipients. Santiago's boss. HR. His church group. His mother. Me. ISA. I BCC'd myself. Just to watch the chaos from the front row. In the body of the email, I wrote, "Hello. I thought you all should know who Santiago Reyes really is. He married me in 2019. And ISA in 2023. No divorce. No separation. Just deception. Attached you'll find the wedding album. The ring invoices. The guest list. I'm not asking for pity. I'm offering proof." Then I attached the folder. Zipped. Titled, Parallel Lives. I hovered over the send button. And for a second, I hesitated. Not because I felt guilty. Because I realized. This wouldn't fix me. It wouldn't rewind time. It wouldn't erase the nights I laid beside a stranger. But it would make sure. He never did it again. I clicked send. And just like that, Santiago's 2 lives became one explosion. 32 minutes later, my phone rang. It was his mother. I didn't answer. Then came ISA. Then Diego. Then Santiago. I let them all go to voicemail. I didn't want to hear the screams. I wanted silence. The kind that meant justice. That night, I changed the locks. Packed 2 suitcases. And left him a note. It read, "I saw the wedding photos. Now it's time for you to see what life without me looks like. They say vows are sacred. I used to believe that too. But now, I believe they are only sacred when they are true. So I wrote new ones. Not for him. For me. I promise to never shrink myself to fit into your lie. I promise to never ignore my own silence. I promise to never again stay just because I'm scared to leave. My name is Camila Reyes. And I was married to a man with 2 lives. For 4 years, I lived in the first. Then I saw the second. And finally, I created my own. I moved into a small apartment with tall windows and no shared closets. I threw out the matching towels. The joint bank cards. The couple's frames. The ring box. I kept one thing. Photo 117. The one with all of them smiling. Because sometimes, to heal, you have to look at what hurt you. Until it no longer does. I opened a new email. Subject line, Camila R. Design Studio. First client, the woman leaving her husband. She said she saw my post. She said she didn't feel alone anymore. I told her. You're not. I still don't sleep perfectly. But I sleep honestly. No more wondering where he is. No more measuring my worth through his eyes. No more waiting for an apology that will never come. Some people expose their cheaters in court. Some on social media. I did it with a photo. And it was enough. Because at the end of it all, I didn't want revenge. I wanted clarity. And that's what I found. In the silence. In the pain. In the truth. And in myself.